You've come to fear disease far too much, and occasionally getting sick is actually good and well. It's part of the cycle of life and ought not to be feared.
Human babies are so helpless, and parents today have little preparation or training or support. So we improvise, and maybe we repeat the faults our parents and others made because new parents can feel exhausted and lost. What would you say to reassure new parents?
Bring the attention to the newborn and make sure that you are holding them as much as you can, being close to them, and having them touching your body helps them to ground and helps them to develop. It creates a deep connection between the two of you and allows the child to stay secure. Remember that the child is empathically downloading information from you, so keep your own body and mind clear and have as much of a regular schedule as you can, adapting to your child and letting them determine your schedule. Taking away responsibilities of work is helpful, or at least having a different attitude so that you may direct all of the focus that is available to you towards the child.
In the 1960s, there would be disease parties where young children deliberately caught infections from each other to become naturally immune. These seem to be out of fashion. What are your comments on the common childhood diseases?
Many of these childhood diseases were very dangerous to some, yet you now live in a time in which you can strengthen your own immune systems in a variety of ways, and hopefully these diseases are less of a threat. We wouldn't say that the vaccinations that you've all been raised with up until this point are incredibly dangerous. They cause issues for some with greater sensitivity, but they are not incredibly dangerous. We have other thoughts on more recent innovations in this so-called technology. But yes, it is not so bad for people who have strong immune systems to catch diseases sometimes. The disease is also a certain level of information for your body that trains your immune system and gives your immune system update, so to speak. And every time your immune system updates, your immune system gets a little bit stronger. And this can lead to greater digestion, increased mental focus, and an increased capacity to digest the experiences of life following the experience of one of these infectious diseases. Unfortunately, you have come to look at this only as a bad thing and something that has to be absolutely avoided, and you bypass the fact that there is a strengthening effect that takes place when you get sick. There's also a purging effect that really those of you who experience these sorts of colds and flus in more intense ways are having an opportunity for your body to detox and for your body to rest through the process of the disease itself. You accumulate toxins when you don't digest your food properly and when you don't rest properly and when you have diets filled with chemicals and toxins that build up in your body. And oftentimes when you get sick and you perhaps produce more phlegm, or perhaps you have runnier stools, or perhaps your body releases some fluids in a certain way that it normally doesn't, these accumulated toxins are purged from you, and this allows for that rejuvenation to take place. So you've come to fear disease far too much, and occasionally getting sick is actually good and well. It's part of the cycle of life and ought not to be feared.
Thank you. Okay, some say that amazing gifts in intelligence, musical ability, sports, and so on are natural from an early age. But most parents and most professionals are not looking for natural enthusiasm. How can we encourage talents in preschool children?
Well, yes, children ought to learn themselves, and they ought to learn through what's exciting and natural for them. And children can learn far more when they do what they're excited about when they are forced certain curriculums. And that's not to say don't teach children a bit about everything, but let them decide where to put more of their time. And allow for all of their play to be educational in some way. When you choose forms of play that continue to educate children beyond the classroom, their genius will show far more. And you will also start to see that they don't come to associate work with learning, and instead they associate learning with play. And for all of you, this should be the natural association. We find that learning is very exciting. The channel finds that too. Intelligent, successful, and spiritual people are all extremely excited about learning all the time, and it is extremely easy for them to always be excited because they know they are always learning something. And you have to teach your children that so that they will continue to self-educate even when you're not watching them. That is how you create a genius.
The mainstream consensus forces immense medical intrusion on human babies and children. Every detail must be measured and recorded to avoid prosecution for medical errors. What can we do to restore love and magic in family life?
Well, this is why we have said working with a midwife and doing a natural birth can be much more soothing to everyone involved and can allow the child to come into the world in a way that is grounded and safe and protected without so much of these stressors. Those of you who cannot afford this or who are guided to do it a more conventional way can trust that your care and your presence and your own ability to stay calm and centered in this process is what's most important and will affect the child absolutely. Remember that there's nothing that cannot be healed, so don't be afraid and look back with regret upon things that might have been traumatic for you or others. Instead, open yourself to the ways that you might find the solutions, noticing that perhaps, yes, things like these challenging environments in childhood might have created a greater level of nervous system instability, a sense of insecurity, and feeling of flightiness. Yet all of these things can be worked out. And this isn't to say that everybody who had these experiences is imprinted by it in a negative way, because there are many people who were born in hospitals and traumatic or under traumatic circumstances that have totally healed and are now actualized and happy, brilliant, and excited adults.
Thank you. Have you any further comments on childbirth and caring for preschool children?
As for these preschool ages, we encourage you to let children enjoy themselves and be light in the way that you set your boundaries. There is much discipline that is needed for young toddlers, yet it is the way that you enforce this discipline that makes them angels or demons later in their life. If you can speak softly and always end with care and affection, your children will come to be those who have that soft yet firm demeanor. If you don't enforce boundaries at all, your children will stay wild forever. If you enforce boundaries in harsh and cruel ways, your children might become very powerful people, but they will also create pain in this world. So be soft with your children and let them guide and teach you. Let their play be what inspires their learning. Let their love be what lights up the room. Don't dim their love, and don't force them to be anything in particular. Instead, ask them who they want to be. And you'll see that children are very much shapeshifters, moving from one energy and one idea to the next very quickly. This will allow children to be very advanced. They will progress through stages of their journey much quicker. Children get stuck in phases, as you say, because of the resistance from consensus reality, parents and teachers and their peers. If they are not met with resistance when they go through one of these phases, the phases will end and transform into the next phase very quickly. But if you judge that phase and enforce your morals onto them, your children will forever worship the values of that particular phase and live through the belief systems of that particular phase. They might move past it, but they will forever internalize it because what is resisted persists. So offer your children no resistance and be prepared to accept them lovingly just as they are, and they will become the brightest lights in the world. That is how you craft beautiful new relations. Remember that you are crafting relations, and these relations shape the children. And you think that you create children, but really you just shape them. They are naturally born as the souls they are meant to be from the moment of their birth, and your job from then on is to simply direct them and help shape them with your own positive ideas and your own love. They will decide who they are, and letting your ideas aside will make it so that they feel the most creative freedom and the most unconditional love to bring out their own greatest talent and genius.
That completes this topic for today. Thank you so much for helping us to live with more love and magic.
We thank you for allowing this transmission to be shared, and we wish you a fantastic rest of your day then.
On the spaceship of Babel, we are gliding through the stars on a 5-year mission beyond Jupiter and Mars. A celestial encounter on a future Noah's Ark, and you won't hear us coming if you whisper in the dark. There's an Ewok close behind me as we try to disembark here. Obi-Wan Kenobi as we whisper in the dark.